Okay, so today's video is going to be a little bit different than usual in honor of the 3 months since I have gotten my chinchillas. This video is going to feature their cage as well as some information about what is safe and not safe for chinchillas. Okay, first things first, I think all chinchilla owners agree that the most important thing you need to know is that your chinchilla cannot have any plastic in the cage whatsoever. Plastic is very dangerous for chinchillas. They cannot digest it. If they eat plastic, it can build up in their intestines and eventually kill them. It is really important that if you have plastic, that you remove it from their cages immediately. While on the topic of chewing, ledges are highly recommended for chinchillas because they jump. And as you can see from there, she does love to jump around the cage, as does Tabitha. Ledges need to be made from kiln-dried pine. And I would not purchase these on Amazon. They're not exactly trustworthy with this kind of stuff. There are several chinchilla vendors on Etsy where you can purchase these types of ledges and they will be safe for your chinchillas. Like I said, chinchillas love to chew. They chew a lot. If you're wearing a shirt or you leave them in the bathroom, they are going to sneak a snag on something to chew on in a heartbeat. So you do need stuff that they can chew on that will entertain them. I buy their chew toys off of Etsy from the chinchilla vendors on there, as well as apple sticks. You can also get willow sticks. And I have some willow toys that they can chew on as well. Those are safe. I highly recommend using Etsy, the chinchilla vendors, to get those kinds of things because then you know that they are safe for your babies. On both the top floor of my Ferret Nation cage and the bottom floor of my Ferret Nation cage, I have these cooling stones as well as 2 pieces of ceramic tile. This is designed to keep the chinchillas cool. Chinchillas do not tolerate hot weather very well at all. And these cooling stones allow my chinchillas, if they happen to get warm in their cage, they can come over here and cool their body temperature down on these cooling stones. These cooling stones, from my understanding, keep the temperature about 3 degrees lower than the room temperature. To monitor my room temperature for my chinchillas, I have one of these devices. I did purchase this one off of Amazon, and this will tell me what the temperature of the room is. The lower number is telling me what the temperature is right here where this device is, and this one is where that smaller device, that one, temperature is. So there is actually a slight temperature difference just right here versus up there. Now this temperature is a little high. Like, this is probably not the best range for the chinchillas. They need to really be at 70 degrees or less, but because they have their cooling stones in there, I am okay with the room getting up to 73. And as you can see, my babies are not hot, otherwise they would be on the cooling stone. All right, let's talk bedding. So you have several options for bedding. You can use just fleece. Just make sure it's non-pill fleece. You can use actual bedding, what we consider bedding. You can also use tiles. You just have to make sure that they stay sanitary and are properly cleaned. If you do get the traditional bedding, the bedding recommended for chinchillas is aspen bedding. This is safe for them to chew on because they will chew on it. They will chew on everything in their cage. So you want to make sure that this is safe for them to chew on. The pine, the paper bedding, scented bedding is not safe for chinchillas. Just like plastic, it'll build up in their intestines and can kill them. One thing that I have been asked by several people is if chinchillas can be potty trained. When it comes to poop, absolutely not. They have no voluntary control over pooping. They poop every 30 seconds to a minute, and they don't even realize really that they're even doing it. However, they have control over their pee, and they can decide where and when to pee. They will choose to pee in the bedding if you put it in there. They seem to sense and know that that is where they need to go. My chinchillas do not pee on the fleece anymore. They just pee strictly in the aspen wood chips. The highly recommended chinchilla cages are the Ferret Nation and the Critter Nation cages. Mine is a Ferret Nation that came with my chinchillas when I bought them from their previous owner. It's really important to make sure that the bars are not wide enough that your chinchillas can poke through and escape. They look really fluffy, and they are very fluffy, but they are not overweight. Make no mistake about that. They can squeeze into tiny little places. The fur is what makes them look large. They're not actually large. Okay, here on the lower level is where I have the water bottle. Make sure the water bottle is glass, not plastic. The hay feeder here is a material that they cannot chew through or chew off. And their pellets are here as well in a bowl. You can get a ceramic one or stainless steel like this, or glass, anything like that that they cannot chew is perfectly fine. When it comes to cleaning and maintaining cleanliness, I wash their water bottles after 2 uses. So they will drink through the water in here twice, and then I'll put it in hot soapy water and wash it thoroughly, running clear water through it until all the soap suds are out. Chinchillas cannot drink tap water. My chinchillas drink Deer Park. They can't have anything that has extra minerals in it or flavoring in it, obviously. Just standard spring water. When you want to clean, and you'll want to clean often to prevent things like ringworm and whatnot with your chinchillas, the only cleaning solution that is useful for chinchilla cages and is safe for chinchillas is white vinegar. I mix my vinegar as 1 part water to 1 part vinegar. It's very smelly, but it is the only thing that chinchillas can tolerate that won't hurt them in the long run. And I'll use that vinegar to clean the tiles, not just the surface, but the sides as well. The ledges, any chew toys, as well as the pans that act as guards to prevent poop from getting everywhere. All of that will get sprayed with that vinegar solution and wiped down, usually about once every 6 weeks, although it probably should be once a month. The fleece I usually change out every other day at the same time I give them their dust baths. Which leads us to our next point. Chinchillas cannot get wet. They cannot be washed in water. Do not get your chinchilla wet. They need this special bath dust. That is how they clean themselves. They will roll in the dust, and that will get deep down into their fur and keep their fur nice and clean. You definitely want them to be dry and not oily. If you're noticing your chinchillas getting oily, that'll make them vulnerable to things like ringworm or other fungal infections. Okay, what can chinchillas eat? The recommended type of hay for chinchillas is Western Timothy hay. They can have the other types like the orchard and the meadow hay sparingly, but this should be the primary type of hay that they consume. This is healthy for them, healthy for their gut. This is definitely what they need the bulk of their hay coming from. The type of pellets your chinchilla should have, what's recommended the most is the Oxbow Essentials, the red bag here. The other types that have like seeds or little dried up fruit pieces, those are generally speaking not healthy for your chinchilla. If you gave it to them in the beginning and you didn't know better, I'm sure your chinchilla will be fine. I made the same mistake, but as you grow in your chinchilla ownership, it is important to know that this type of pellet is the safest for your babies. All right, chinchillas can have treats sparingly, and this is really good to have to help build the bond with your chinchilla, get them comfortable with you, even get them to love you as much as chinchillas can. There are things like rose hips in here, rose petals. This came from an Etsy store, Pandemonium Pets. And they sent me a list with all the different items in here as well. And this is what I would recommend as opposed to buying treats at the store, because I know that these are safe for chinchillas for certain. In addition to the hanging chew toys, your chinchillas also need other things to chew, such as these apple sticks. Hello, Tabitha. These kinds of sticks are really important. As you can see, she's snatching it from me. Goodbye, Tabitha. Run off with your stick. This is helpful for their teeth. Chinchilla teeth grow very rapidly, and that is how they keep it filed down. What's the matter, Tabitha? You want out? You want out? I'm so sorry you can't come out. Shelby is here. Shelby the dog is visiting. You have to stay in your cage. Some people highly recommend a certain amount of pellets in proportion to hay. I do not restrict my chinchillas' access to pellets. They do eat a substantial amount of hay, and they do eat pellets as well. And I haven't had them gain any weight or have any trouble with them in that regard. So at this point, I'm not restricting their pellet use. One other point I need to make about the water. Chinchillas are desert animals. They originally come from the desert regions of the Andean mountains, and they do not consume a lot of water a day. This is not something to be alarmed about. Their bodies are made to go without water for some period of time. On average, the typical adult chinchilla will drink 1.5 to 2 ounces of water a day, and that's about what my girls drink, which is not a lot. Couple of things that are important to have on hand for your chinchillas. These infant gas drops. I know that seems odd, but I do give my chinchillas this quite regularly. They can get 0.3 on the little dropper that comes in the box. Every 8 hours they can get 0.3, and this is really important if they get a hold of something and snag a chew on something that they shouldn't have. This will help with that intestinal delicacies that they have. If your chinchilla ever gets sick or has any issues at all, one of the first signs something is wrong with your chinchilla is you will notice less and less poop, and then the next thing is they will eat less. If this happens, it's important to administer gas drops, but also make sure that they are eating. These are tiny little creatures. They need to eat regularly. If you own a chinchilla, you know what I mean. They are sleeping for an hour, then they're up eating. Sleeping for an hour, and then they're up eating. So if your chinchilla is not eating, it's really important to have a syringe on hand, follow the directions on the bag, but these critical care packs are very important for when your chinchilla, for whatever reason, is not eating. They need to keep their nutrients going in their body and their energy there. All right, so that's an introduction to the chinchilla cage and some safety considerations that you should be aware of if you are having pet chinchillas. There's Trixie. She's saying goodbye. Say bye, girl. And a goodbye from sweet but usually grumpy Tabitha.